This video is intended for mature adults because it does have trigger warning for adult content, adult language, and sexual abuse in the story. Sharon Denise Siermans was a 29-year-old Aussie woman. She was a single mother and a talented artist. In January of 2013, Sharon got on the dating app Plenty of Fish, where she met, unknown to her, convicted rapist and parolee Jason John Densley. I'm saying that right. And so from the 11th to the 19th of January, they shared messages back and forth and text. And on the 19th, they decided to meet in person at a local train station. Now, they didn't live very far apart, but they figured somewhere in public would be better. And so the plan was to go to the train station, meet up, and then go to a restaurant to share lunch, visit, and, take the date a little further. The date never made it to the restaurant because when Sharon met Jason in person, he was dirty, his clothes were filthy, he stunk, and so she was really too embarrassed to go out in public, to be seen with him in public. And so instead, she decided it would be a better idea to take him back to her house for coffee. Which, side note, I would never recommend taking anybody home that you don't know. A stranger is not a good idea. Once Sharon is headed back to her place with Jason, she sends a text message to a friend saying, "Hey, I need you to send me an emergency message so I can get this guy out of my house," because Jason was not what Sharon thought he was. And so the friend sends a message, and then she politely asks him to leave, and she doesn't speak to him again for 3 months. So, like I said, for 3 months, there was no further contact, which brings us to the early hours of April 6th, 2013. That morning, Jason was highly anxious. He couldn't sleep the night before, and so he decided to go for a walk. Thinking about all the rejection that he had faced in his past, he became angered. And at that point, he was standing in front of Sharon's house and he recognized the house and he got even more angry. So he decided that he was going to take matters into his own hands. And so he went home and he got a cricket bat, which was the only weapon he could find to use for Sharon. And then he returns to her house around 5 a.m. So at 5 a.m., he is breaking into Sharon's house through a window, removing the window panes, the little panels, that just, I guess they slid out, I don't know. But then Sharon wakes up because she hears a noise. And so when she goes in, she is met face to face with Jason, who starts beating her with a cricket bat. And so he's beating this chick senseless. And at some point, he's got her on the ground, and then he grabs the cricket bat and he's going full force in downward motion, like beating the shit out of her in the head, bashing her head in. And at this point, her 4-year-old son wakes up. And so Sharon asked if she can go check on him and make sure everything's okay. And surprisingly, Jason agrees. Once Sharon gets her son settled, back in bed, then she goes back to Jason, where he puts a knife to her throat and leads her into her bedroom, where he tells her he's going to rape her. But unfortunately for him and fortunately for her, he couldn't get an erection, which made him even more angry. So then he continues to beat the shit out of Sharon until she's dead. So once Sharon is dead, Jason leaves, taking her iPhone and then disposing of the cricket bat, the glass panes from her window, and his shoes. That same morning at roughly 10:30 a.m., her ex-mother-in-law and Bruce headed to her house because every day her and Sharon talked and she hadn't heard from her, so she was beginning to get a little bit worried. Anne enters the back door of Sharon's home where she finds her grandson, Aaron, sitting down. And whenever she asked him, "Where's Mummy?" He replied, "Mummy is up there," pointing up towards her room. And he said there was a big man that came last night and he bashed Mummy with a baseball bat. Mummy won't wake up to give me any breakfast. It didn't take long for police to tie Jason, as a suspicious person or person of interest. And so as soon as they brought him in for questioning, he confessed to the whole shebang. So Jason was charged with murder, with attempted rape, aggravated burglary, and was given life in prison with a non-parole period of 32 years. What friends and family didn't know at the time is that Jason had sent her multiple hate text messages and death threats, and he was just angry with Sharon after she rejected him. Now, he was on parole, so surely this would have gotten him arrested if she would have reported that or turned it in. But she didn't tell any of her friends, any of her family, anything. You never know what somebody is capable of, especially if it's somebody that you just meet from a dating app. So I wouldn't trust anybody. And I'm not blaming this on Sharon, but she would probably still be here today had that have, been reported, or she had notified somebody, what was going on, and she could have put a stop to it. It's just the whole thing is sad.